Hello. Okay, before we get into this video, two things. Number one, new camera. And number two, my hair is lopsided. Let's not talk about it. Okay. So, book slumps. We all get them. Currently, I am, thank the Lord, not in one right now, but like 2 months ago, I was in a bad one. So, let's talk about 11 fast-paced, really drama-filled, really exciting, plot-filled books that will immediately get you up and out of a book slump. These ones did it for me, and so I gotta recommend them to you guys too. I got a little list here on my phone, and we're just gonna go down the line. So number one on this list are the first two books in a series. And by the way, a lot of things on this list are part of a series, but the first one is Pretty Reckless by L.J. Shen. Now, I've read Vicious by L.J. Shen before, and I did not like that book. I had some issues with it, but this series, I think, is the kids of the Vicious series, which is like 4 different books. So the second series is like their children, and I like this one a lot better. Pretty Reckless is a romance between a girl, I forgot her name, she's like a popular girl at school, and then a guy named Penn, who is, I think, an athlete and is also a foster brother. Now, is this a messy book? Yes. Some of their relationship is toxic. Some things that happen, I would like, if I was in real life, I would not approve, but it's a fictional book. It's just for fun. And honestly, I need to reread this book so bad because all I remember from this book, short little snippets and scenes, but I don't remember like the whole plot. But what I do remember was the feelings that I got from this book, which was super fast paced, super exciting. I was laughing my butt off. I was like having such a great time reading this, and it was super fun, you know? I'm actually gonna pull up this book on Goodreads. I should have done this before I started filming. I gave this book 4 stars, I think. Yeah, I did. Okay, so the girl's name is Daria. Their banter was hilarious because they were also like kind of like ruthless. Like they were both very snarky because I was like cackling at all of their jokes and stuff. Really funny. So I definitely recommend Pretty Reckless by L.J. Shen. I would also recommend the second book in this series, which is called Broken Night by L.J. Shen. I feel like Pretty Reckless was very like fun, drama, high school, like things going on. There are definitely triggers in that book, so like check the trigger warnings, but like I think overall it was just a generally like more upbeat book. This is a very different vibe than the first one. Luna is the main girl character and then Knight is the guy character. Luna, I think she's deaf or mute, but she doesn't speak. She uses sign language. I think Knight taught her sign language. So they're just a really sweet relationship. And what I like about this book specifically is they are like super wholesome. I love the couple together, but also this book is really fast paced. It's like 350 pages, so it's like not super long. It just like goes by really fast. You know, like the plot is moving really fast and it really sucks you in and keeps you there. So overall, if you're looking for something that's like still a really good time, but maybe has a little more meaning behind it, is a little more like heartwarming, a little more wholesome, I would pick the second book in this series rather than the first one. I am pretty sure this is a interconnected standalones, so you can read them out of order. You don't have to read all of them if you don't want to, but it's basically like these two are like very different stories but like the same author, you know, so pick which one is more your vibe. But I did really love both these two. I think I gave them both 4 stars, and I honestly should just continue the series. I haven't finished reading it, but I probably should get back to it sometime soon. The next book is the only book that I actually have a physical copy of. I brought these other books for like the thumbnail, but I'm not going to be using them because they're not what I'm recommending, but I am going to be recommending Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is such a fun book that no one talks about, I feel, and it was like a 5-star read for me. If you recognize this like cover or possibly this author, this is the sequel to It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which I'll put right here. This book is really popular. It was like a huge book talk a couple years ago, and I read it. It was really good, but I just preferred the sequel. It's the girl Piper's sister Hannah that's the main love interest in here, and then the guy named Fox. And this one is just so much fun. It's very similar to the first one in that it's a romance on like the sea town. He's also like a crab fisherman, just like the guy in the first book was, and then she is a little different than her sister. Her sister is very like pop influencer kind of girl. This girl Hannah is much more chill. She loves music and she wants to work on set for like this movie, but I just love their relationship so much. They are so darling together. Fox is hilarious, and he also has a lot of insecurities that I think are really interesting to like read about, because a lot of times in books I feel personally that I read a lot of like romances where the guy is just like broody, grumpy, and or golden retriever, but like they never have like issues of their own. It's always like external things. I feel like Fox has a lot of like internal insecurities. I like that he has a very fleshed out character, and I liked him a lot just to read. And I liked Hannah too, but I think he was my favorite. So overall, this was just super fun. A lot about music in here, especially like older music if you like that. And yeah, it was just a fun book. I really enjoy this. Super fun to read, not very long, and yeah, pick this one up if you have a chance. Next is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. Now I read this one I think 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know, I read this one a long time ago, but this is a mafia romance. And if you're in mafia at all, you may have heard of Sophie Lark. If you're not, this is a book that I recommend starting with to get into mafia, because it's a good like basic stepping stone into the world of mafia that I like to hang out in sometimes. Brutal Prince is your very classic, two different mafias are battling, or they are like rivals of each other, and then because of some incident or whatever, the capos decide to take their children and marry them in arranged marriage together. Now, am I a huge proponent of arranged marriage? Absolutely not, but in my books it's fine because it is all fictional. So this book is the relationship between Ada and Callum, and it's very much enemies to lovers. They are both very ruthless. They both like do crazy things. One thing that everyone talks about for this story is Callum is allergic to strawberries, and Ada finds this out. So for their first kiss, like at their wedding, she eats strawberries beforehand and gives him an allergic reaction whenever he kisses her. It's like, it's crazy. Is that very realistic? Maybe not, but it's fun and it's funny and entertaining. So this one is just, again, fast-paced, super fun, super drama, a basic level into mafia. There are some triggers to watch out for, definitely violence, definitely explicit scenes, stuff like that, but like it's not anything crazy in the grand scheme of things. So I definitely recommend this. And I also, the next book is Stolen Heir, which is the sequel. So this is a very long series. I've only read the first 3 books in it, but the first 2 are my favorite out of the 3, and the second book has to be my #1 favorite. So this one is a relationship between Callum's sister and then another guy in the mafia. So his sister's name is Nessa, and then the guy's name is Mikolaj, and I actually think he kidnaps her. So this reminds me very much of Beauty and the Beast. It's like a little bit of that retelling, but in a modern mafia format. So he kidnaps her because of some drama in the mafia, and she's actually a ballerina, and so she performs, she practices and all that. I think she's like more of a quieter character, which definitely has some like insecurities on the inside that are like worked throughout the book. And then Mikolaj does not talk. He's a very, very silent, very broody, very mafia boss, whatever character. And so it's a process of them, you know, learning each other, figuring things out from your relationship. Like I said, she is kidnapped at the beginning, not in like a lives in the basement kind of kidnapped, more just like Beauty and the Beast, how like Belle in the movie like lived in his house but like had free reign, kind of like that, how she like lives in his house and like goes to rehearsals, but basically like she can't be taken by her family again. Anyway, like I said, it's fictional. It's fictional, so we can have whatever fun we want because it is a fictional story. But I remember these being fast-paced, fun. Like I said, it checks every box, and if you're wanting to get out of a reading slump and you want to try something new, like a mafia if you haven't been there before, or if you want to get back into a mafia, these ones are easy reads, really fast-paced and really good. So I recommend those 2 books by Sophie Lark. Okay, so next I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite book series of all time that I actually talked about in my first video when I talked about my favorite books, which is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. Now, this entire series is so much fun, fast-paced, cowboy romances in a small town, very much found family, very much like family dinners, like everyone adding to the family, and it's a beautiful story. But because I talked about books 2 and 4 in the first video, I'll talk about book 1 today, which is Flawless, and it's the story between Rhett, who is a bull rider, and Summer, whose dad is, I'm pretty sure Rhett's like manager or something, but Rhett is like being crazy. He's like sleeping around, he's like not following like the PR rules of like being a good like celebrity as a bull rider. So dad sends his son Summer to almost like babysit Rhett over the summer, and it's so funny. They have great banter. It's enemies to lovers, but it's also like, it's not friends to lovers, but it's not like enemies. They're just like, they disagree for a while until they start like fighting out each other and like, you know, smoothing all the rough edges, and it's super funny. Her books are all super funny, and also Elsie is so good at like creating chemistry between characters. One thing I love about her writing is I can always like fall in love with people that fast, and so I love all of her books, but I think this is a series you do have to read in order. So definitely start with the book 1, which is Rhett and Summer. However, all these books were 5 stars for me. Like every single one of them in this series was fantastic. So even if like this isn't my favorite book of the series, it is still a 5-star read for me. So these books got me out of a book slump last summer. So if you're wanting to get out of a book slump, trust me, these will do it to you. And even if you don't even think you like cowboy romance, because I didn't think I liked cowboy romance, trust me, try it out. Just try it. See what you think. My friend thought the same thing. She was like, cowboys, ew, not for me. And I gave her the book for her birthday anyway, and she read it anyway, and she's currently on book 3 because she loves it so much. So trust me when I say that this one is special, and you will love Flawless by Elsie Silver. Okay, so now I need to talk about the Addicted to You series, because although it's everyone's favorite series, unfortunately, they are not my cup of tea. Lo and what's her face? The other one? The girl? I don't know her name. I'm so bad with names today. I didn't like her. She was annoying. They're both annoying. And like, honestly, if they had a one adult conversation, the book would be over in 20 pages, you know? It was one of those situations. So I don't love the the series. I honestly haven't gotten much further in it besides book 1 of Addicted to You, and then I read the first 2 books of the Calloway sisters. But the one book that I did like from the series was Hot House Flower, which is I think the second book in the Calloway sisters series. So this one was between Daisy, who is one of the Calloway sisters, and then Reich. Anyway, their relationship is super fun. All I remember from this book were like really good summer vibes, like exploring, traveling, riding on motorcycles, rock climbing, going camping, like all these fun adventures with each other. I think in like the earlier books, it like had little snippets of like their chemistry, sitting on a couch or like joking together in the background of someone else's point of view. And like I always got those little snippets of them, and so I liked seeing in their book like have them unfold. Daisy is more of a like not celebrity, but she's very popular because her family's very popular, and so she's trying to avoid like press and like paparazzi and stuff. And so Reich helps her like escape stuff like that, you know, hop on my motorcycle, let's like drive away kind of thing. It's super cool. Reich is a very like possessive over her in like a good way. He's like protective over her, it's a better word to use. He can be like more kind of broody and like calm, whereas she is much more like bubbly and like talkative and exciting. So they really like balance each other out really well, and I just like the relationship. It's just super fun. I remember just the best vibes from reading this book, and again, super fast paced. And I think I gave it 4 stars, which is surprising because I didn't love Kiss the Sky, which is Rose's book, and I didn't love Addicted to You. So I was shocked that I liked this, but I did like it. I thought the vibes were great. Take all that information, do what you will, but this book was super fun and I liked it. To do something a little different, I'm gonna recommend next the Stay With Me series by Nicole Fiorina. This is a series that absolutely no one I've heard talks about, and the series was really hard for me because the first 2 books I adored. I ate them up. They were both like high 4 stars, and then the last book I actually DNF'd because I was pissed at the way it was going. Like the author took like a random turn for book 3 and I did not like it. But that is a conversation for another day. What I want to talk about today are the first 2 books in this series, which are just beautiful. So this is gonna sound a little crazy, but hold out for a second. This is a romance in a mental hospital or a psych ward. Basically, there is the psych ward element, but kids who are like delinquents but like are not in juvie or instead in more of a mental hospital go to this school. They live there in their dormitories, they have meals, they go to classes, all that things in the dorms. And then there's also a mental hospital like attached in case people like really need attention, they need extra help, stuff like that, they go over there. But the majority of the story takes place in the school instead, next to it. And so all of these characters have definitely like traumatic pasts, they have mental illnesses, and obviously they need a lot of support. Right? We meet Mia, who is, she calls herself a sociopath. She like says that she has no emotions. And then there's also Ollie, who is her love interest. I love Ollie. He's just the most sweet, amazing boy. And he is full of emotions. He feels so much. He is just very like kind. Everyone loves him. But, like his bedroom is the one where everyone like congregates in for like, you know, evening like parties or whatever. And it's just their relationship. And this book, I will say, is really sad. There is a lot of talk about like triggers you need to watch out for, like assault and or like mental health, mental illness for sure, depression, stuff like that, drugs. It's just a sad book, honestly. This one is definitely more of like a negative tone. However, I think the story itself is still beautiful, even though it is really sad. I definitely cried in this book, but I did really enjoy the story between Ollie and Mia. And then in the second book, which I'm always recommending here, these 2 books are like kind of combined, but something bad happens at the end of book 1. And then the second book is still in the school, but like it's continuing the story with like a different element added into it. So yeah, I liked both these a lot. Both really high 4 stars, like I said. And even though they are sad, I think the plot is really fast. I think you really get into it really quickly. It doesn't hold back anything. It just really puts you in the story and you are invested in it, which is why I recommend it in this video anyway. Just in case you're looking for something that's not like a fluffy romance or whatever, like something that's a little bit of a change of pace, this one might be for you. And great recommendations if you're looking for something a little more heartfelt, a little more intense, but a good book nonetheless. The last 2 books on this list, and I could not make this list without talking about Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. So Magnolia Parks is the first book and is about a London socialite named Magnolia Parks and her relationship with this guy, BJ Valentine. They have a very on and off relationship, very toxic, and they've kind of known each other since like childhood, and they've always like loved each other, but they have struggles with being together. They'll break up and then he'll sleep with someone else, and then she'll get mad, so she'll like date someone, like some like fancy celebrity to like make him jelly, and then he wants to get back with her, and she has to break up with that guy, and then they get back together, and then they fight, and then they break up. It's like a whole thing. Is it healthy? No, but it's a very fun time to read about. This book is technically a romance, technically, but honestly I would not read it for the romance. I would read it for the drama, because I mentioned this in my vlog for Binding 13. I love the couple, I love the characters. There are a lot of different characters and like found family aspects in this, and it's really, really fun to read about them. However, I don't think that there is chemistry between the characters in this book. Number one, they're always on off again, and number two, it relies on like their past that it mentions but doesn't go in depth in for you to assume that there's chemistry there when there really isn't any described on the page. So that's like one issue I have with this book, which is why it's 4 stars, not 5 from me. But if you're not looking for like a romantic connection, or more just like a fun, really fast-paced book with like some romance in it but also like friendships, popular people doing rich things in rich places, this is so fun and I recommend it. Now, I haven't gotten more than 2 books in, so the whole like romance thing could change further down the line. I don't want to like make assumptions here for the rest of the series, because I am going to continue the series, but just out of these 2 that I've read so far, romance is like lower compared to just like drama and fun and tea and stuff like that. So speaking of, the second book, Daisy Hates, is actually my favorite out of the 2 that I've read so far. Daisy is just a better character in my opinion. Magnolia is very like flighty, gossipy, like a pretty princess, and then Daisy I think is just like smarter, more like grounded. She definitely has very similar traits as Magnolia in that, like, you know, her relationships are not solid, she dates around. This book's actually very much love triangle-y, so there's like a lot of drama there, but I think that in general she's just a smarter person. She's in school for like being a doctor. She's just like really, really cool. And then also this book has an element of a mafia in it, because her brother Julian has like some underground businesses going on, and I really like that element personally, because I think Julian might be one of my favorite characters in the entire series. He's just a super cool dude. So the second book, in my opinion, was better. So depending on which like kind of character or which kind of plot you prefer, I think this series has a lot that people will enjoy, but you do have to read it in order. So you have to read the first book first, then the second one. Got me out of reading Slump like immediately at the end of last year, beginning of this year, so I definitely recommend it. If you want something to kind of boost you out of that slump, this one will do it for you, trust me. So much fun. I love it so much. So with that being said, those are 11 books. Let me know if you've read any of them and what your thoughts are. Let me know if you want to read some of them and you're adding them to your TBR. I want to know all the juice. If you're in a book slump right now, my heart goes out to you. I feel you. Trust me, it is not a fun place to be in, but hopefully one of these books can get you out of it and get you back in that reading grind, and I'm wishing you all the best of luck. Subscribe to this channel because I am posting so often on here. It's a new channel and I'm loving hanging out with you guys. And also I want to say thank you for 200 subscribers, I think. If you want to follow me on all my social medias, including Instagram, Goodreads, Storygraph, where I track all my books, those are down in the description box below. Also, my second channel is linked over there in case you're interested. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you very soon for a new video. Goodbye.